This is almost really difficult to watch. Like, first of all, I just look so different. Second of all, what was it? Oh. Today we're taking a look at these 12 tapes right here, and I couldn't be more excited about this. So a little background for those of you who don't know, I've been living in Japan since about 2007, but in 2005 I took my first trip here, and these 12 tapes is that trip. Now, almost exactly 1 year ago, I traveled back to Canada for the first time in like 3 years, playlist linked here. And I found these tapes. Recently, I was on a Japanese TV program. I made friends with one of the cameramen. He offered to digitize all the tapes for me, and here we are. By the way, there might be another exciting TV spot coming up. But you see, there was a bit of a catch. I had never watched any of the content of these tapes, and yesterday, I sat down and watched these tapes for the first time ever. We're gonna jump right into it, but before we do, a few disclaimers. Number one, I was young, and I mean young in every sense of the word. Like, I looked young. I was young. Second, I knew nothing about Japan at that time, and boy does it show on these tapes. And finally, I was traveling with a Japanese friend at that time who I don't really show in the videos, just to, you know, protect privacy and all that. This first tape actually covers me leaving Canada and going to Japan, like my first days in Japan and everything like that. I think it kicks off with my going away party.
Karate chop.
It's amazing. Some things just don't change. We were playing GoldenEye at this point. I love that game. I've got an N64 right there under the TV, and one of my most commonly played games is still GoldenEye.
That was Ruben.
Skipping forward.
The one who died was Ruben. How do you get... Chloe, can I actually see something?
Alright, yeah, it looks like we're at the airport now. I think I just remembered, I probably recorded like a lot of airport stuff, because this was my first time in my life, A, ever being at an airport, or B, ever getting on an airplane. I kind of feel like the majority of this whole first tape is going to be airport and airplane stuff. Let's just skip ahead a bit. I still couldn't hold the camera still to save my life.
Look at me, I'm moving. And I'm standing still.
Oh my god.
I've never been on one of these.
Okay, I'm just gonna pause it right there. So I'd never been on one of those moving escalator things, you know what I mean? Like the moving walkway things.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We are going to be landing any second now. We should expect touchdown in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0.
I really delayed that and 0, and it wasn't even close either. We weren't even touchdown yet. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I went through Chicago the first time, so this is just like, I'm not even in Japan yet. I also remember the transfer at the Chicago O'Hare International Airport being a bit of a pain in the butt. Have you ever done it? Whew. Moving on. We're at the 43-minute mark of this, and I've started recording out the plane's window again. I'm just gonna skip ahead. I stopped recording out the window long enough to have a meal.
Pasta with salmon sauce. Got a fresh salad. Got a fresh fruit salad. And a creamy peach a la creme from Danone. I've got a bottle of white wine here and a little bun. And we are almost there.
That's nowhere
About 3
near
hours
almost
left.
there.
This is so awesome. Alright, so I asked for sake. She gave me a cute little bag here. Let's see if I can get the bag on camera.
Oh, cool. They gave...
Adorable little...
I don't remember this.
And it's in a little bag. Like, wow.
I can see why I was really into that.
Alright, just a little note to self so I remember this for later. This, like, salmon sauce meal is absolutely incredibly amazing. I have got to learn how to make it.
I never learned how to make it. By the way, we're like 3/4 of the way through this footage, and 90% of it's just been airplane windows. We might take a look at the second tape.
And a new friend will be used in the restroom.
I think we're about to break through the clouds, like the definitive moment. No, I didn't get it. You see, the old me would actually listen to those announcements that said, please turn off all electronics for landing, and I probably just shut off my camera. Because I remember coming into Japan, one of the most, like, definitive moments that actually stuck in my memory was when we broke through the clouds and I could see the rice fields. I remember that so strongly. I love that. And I didn't catch it. Anyways, okay. Back to it. Pokemon plane! Makes sense that I would record that. No commentary.
Here are my first steps into Japan.
Here are my first steps into Japan. Oh, there's the Welcome to Japan sign. Look at that. I'm in Japan. First time.
Yeah, I mean, you just know I look like a tourist too, but look at this.
My first encounter with Japanese vending machines.
Nice little Coke bottles, that's so cute.
Those are neat bottles. I've never seen those back home. Why did I always hold the camera like down here? And it seems like the rest of it's just me heading into Tokyo, so let's change up to tape number 2 and see what we've got. Judging from the background here, it looks like this tape starts off in Shibuya. I'm pretty sure the very first thing I did when I arrived in Japan was head straight to Shibuya, so here we go.
This f***ing rocks.
Yeah. It's pretty typical, right? Yep. Just checking out the signs. Oh my god, that neon sign. This neon sign right here, this was like the pinnacle of Japan to me. When I first came to Japan, this particular neon sign was really popular, so this was, wow, it just takes me back. They're gone now. They're all gone. They were everywhere when I first got here.
Yeah, we're from Bill Murray drove by that in
Lost in Translation. Right before I left, one of my friends was like, yo, you gotta watch Lost in Translation. And I did, and I was all excited. Every single time I found a scene from Lost in Translation, it definitely made it onto my tapes. That first hectic and crazy Shibuya crossing moment. Wow. Shibuya's McDonald's looked so different back then.
When I carry my camera, I feel like a tourist, but when I put it down, I feel like I'm missing so much.
And that right there basically sums up everything about how I felt on my first trip to Japan. When I carry my camera, I feel like a tourist, but when I put it down, I feel like I'm missing so much. Some things never change. Alright, I love this. Right from my very first day in Japan, I'm finding some way to get up to the high angle so I can get those, like, I wish I had a wider angle lens on this. I've always just really liked the view of Tokyo from above.
Alright.
The first morning.
I'm on my second real day in Japan. Well, my first real day. It was just kind of the evening.
What is up with the...
There's something going on over here. I have no idea what.
This is almost really difficult to watch. Like, first of all, I just look so different. Second of all, what was it? Oh.
Supposed to go up to the top of Japan today.
You can hear somebody brushing their teeth in the background.
I figured I'd abandon those plans. The roadway is also the walkway. There seems to be...
I was so shocked by the fact that there were no sidewalks.
When a car comes, you seem to just get out of its way. And it's completely normal and completely natural to everybody. And it's just so interesting. Now, if you've ever watched the news, you know, a couple years ago, you'll see a lot of this.
The masks.
Japanese people wearing masks.
This is so, that was like it really feels like those very first moments in Japan, right? Like reacting to how narrow the roads are and the fact that there are no sidewalks and talking about people with masks and wow, I remember this area. For the life of me, I can't remember exactly where it was. I think it was near Gotanda in Tokyo, but let's skip ahead a bit.
Yeah, I almost got hit.
It's so funny. You know, when my little brother Alexander came back in August, I kept giving him heck because he wasn't paying attention to what was going on the road, and he almost got hit by a car. I don't even know how many times, and here I am, my very first like moments in Japan, and I'm not paying attention to the roads and almost got hit. All right, I'm gonna pause this one right here for now. I think that's a pretty good start. The one thing that's hitting me right out of the gate with this is just how young and like inexperienced I am. I was inexperienced with travel. I knew next to nothing about Japan. Absolutely every little thing was surprising me as I came to this country. It's things that have just become so normal to me now. Back then, just were not. And if I'm not mistaken, it only gets better from here, because my overall comfort with like filming myself and talking to the camera kind of developed during this time. I'm pretty sure I even did the same thing that I do now, where I like sit the camera down and like walk by it and stuff like that. Alright, so I just want to do a little bit of a wrap up here at the end, a little bit of a reflection, because this was a weird experience. I actually recorded the next section in the same day, but I think I'm going to leave that for another video. In fact, if you guys really enjoyed this, I might even turn this into a little bit of a series, but whew, was that weird just to watch all those. I still haven't seen anything outside of those first two tapes, but I know all the real adventure starts basically from this point. I start traveling the entire country. I go to like Hokkaido, I go to Sendai, I go to all these different places, and I've got it all. But what did you guys think? I'm definitely going to be hanging out with you guys down in the comments on the release of this one, so I don't know, let me know what you thought about this. And you know what, for those of you who have stuck around this long, let's just roll out with some raw footage of the trip and me knocking over the microphone.
Alright, so here we are on the night before I leave for Japan. We're all hanging out. Say hi, John. Taking a video for the night before I leave. This entire trip is awesome. Show this UNICEF bit. This thing has money from so many countries. Just know I look like a tourist too, but look at this. Nice little Coke bottles, that's so cute. On the train, and I'm heading into Tokyo. These are rice farms. This is my first thing I ever saw when the plane came through the clouds. Was the rice farms. So this is where I'm gonna end this tape. I'm in Tokyo. We're putting our stuff in a locker on the next tape.